It's the Ostrom Avene Podcast, and it starts right now.
Welcome back to the Ostrom Avene Podcast. AJ Myers joined alongside Griffin Bloomstein. It is July 11th, almost the weekend. We're recording this on Friday. I guess the second weekend of July. Summer is flying by. It's been about a month without the Ostrom Avene Podcast. We've been a little summer vacation. I've gone to the beach a few times. Griffin, how has your summer been shaping out so far?
Been good. I've actually been to the beach, I think maybe just once, but been to the beach. It's been nice. We had some good weather over here in Boston. A couple nights ago, though, the thunder was crazy. Like the ground was shaking. But besides that, we've had some nice weather. It's been warm, some good Syracuse news. My Boston Red Sox are playing really well right now, win 7 straight. So there's a lot of good things happening right now in my life. I don't know. At least
Yeah,
hopefully the same.
a lot of good things happening, but I was gonna mention the Red Sox too. They've beaten the Rockies and who else they beat before? The Nationals. Two
Yeah.
terrible teams to form a
Hey.
7-game win streak. So let's pump the brakes.
Normally, they don't sweep those series. So now they do. I'm happy. You can't be mad about it. You can't be mad that this 2 series in a row, And then they won against the Rays last night. So
Yes,
the Sox are back.
maybe. We'll see.
Bregman's back. The Phillies have not been that good.
They're up and down. They score 13 runs one game and then they go scoreless for 3 straight. But that's that.
How it works.
In the Syracuse world, I think it's been just as hot in Syracuse. Who knows? I haven't been up there all summer. But there's been a lot happening. As always, football season is fast approaching. We're almost at summer camp. We got the members who's going to be going to ACC Media Week. We also got plenty of basketball news. It's kind of a weird spot for basketball because all those players arrive for a summer camp and then they kind of, nothing really happens then. But a lot of games coming out. Last podcast, me and Griffin talked about the conference schedule and who Syracuse is playing ACC-wise and some non-conference games. We got a ton more to talk about. Griffin was not too happy that there was no Georgetown. There's some other opponents that we're going to get Griffin's thought on if he's just as disappointed Syracuse will be not playing them. I don't think he'll be as mad, but what do I know? I didn't know he was so passionate about the Syracuse-Georgetown rivalry. And then some lacrosse transfer news before we wrap things up. But Griffin, it is, it doesn't feel like the fall, but it is fast approaching football season. And this is something not for this season, but next season. Of course, the big news that came last weekend, Calvin Russell, 5-star receiver. He commits to Syracuse. He's going to join his fellow teammate, Darius Johnson, his fellow high school teammate, also going to Syracuse. And this is the big thing. He picks SU over Michigan, Florida State, Oregon. And the big note too is he's represented by the same agent or brand, however you want to shape it, as Fran Brown. So that was definitely a big pull. And, 5-star skill position to Syracuse, picking it over, especially from Florida, kind of a hotbed for SEC schools and of course Miami too, to pick over Michigan, Oregon, Florida State it's a pretty big deal.
He is from Miami.
Yep.
He did not choose Miami. According to 24/7 Sports, he is the 21st best player in the class of 2026. 21, not 201, not 210, not 2,000. The 21st best player in the country. And he's coming to Syracuse, New York to play in the Dome. It's not about Syracuse. It's not about NIL. It's about Fran Brown.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is a Fran Brown recruit. Like, he could have gone to Michigan, played with Bryce Underwood, the #1 quarterback in the class of 2025. He could have gone to Oregon, which they have unlimited amount of NIL money. He could have also gotten a lot of money at Michigan.
Yes.
But he came to Syracuse. He's choosing to come to Syracuse. And I know. Nothing is done until he's actually on campus in a uniform. But this is really something to be excited about. This is what Fran Brown promised us. Like, this is what he's asked. And he is delivering. He's literally delivering 5-star recruits to Syracuse. Hasn't happened since 2001. Cecil Howard. And Cecil Howard was not good. So the hype is there. Now, there's been some other things. King Joseph Edwards transferred out. But who cares? When you got a 5-star, he's the 28th best player according to ESPN. 28th best player in the country. Like, it's just shell-shocking. I didn't think Syracuse was going to get him. I was hoping. I was watching that Instagram live. I know
I
you were,
know.
AJ.
Oh yeah.
It was
Yeah.
buffering in and out. I couldn't really get
I
reception.
know. And we thought he was committed, and then he tweets something out that he wasn't committed. And what I love is there was an article at Syracuse.com that revealed that like he made his mind up 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Like, oh, really? So you couldn't have just said it, Sunday afternoon. You had to wait till the wee hours. It was almost midnight, I feel like, Sunday night, when we got his official commitment announcement. And to your point, he said he's done. Like he's not going to flip commitment. Of course, anything can happen, these days in college athletics. But he says he's done. He says he's in Syracuse. And according to 24/7 Sports, Syracuse now ranks for 2026 22nd overall in recruiting. That is unheard of for Syracuse.
Yeah.
I mean, getting in the top 50 was a big deal for the Orange. So now you're close to top 20 in recruiting, is really something special, and full credit to Fran Brown.
And it's not even just about what this player does, is other recruits are going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
wait, Syracuse got a 5-star?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 4-star. I'm a 5-star. Let me look at Syracuse. Syracuse is popping up in the top 6s, the top 4s, the top 8s of so many high-level recruits, and just that itself is such a big deal when it comes to recruiting. If Syracuse can be a top 25 in recruiting and a top 25 team in the country on the field, then that's what should be the standard for Syracuse football. And I think that's what Fran Brown wants, maybe short term. But whenever someone asks him, okay, like, you like to be in the top 25, you like to be in the top 25 for rankings, he's like, no, I want bigger. And that's the mindset. But reality, being in the top 25 of recruiting and being in the top 20, ending number 20 last season, it's amazing. And I think every Syracuse football fan should be really, really happy with the direction that Fran Brown is bringing this team. And we knew it after the Miami game. Even earlier in the season, we knew it. But now we are seeing it more evolve and evolve. We saw flashes of hype with Dino Babers. Like there's a couple good seasons.
There was two good seasons.
Then there was downfall.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there's going to be downfall with Fran Brown, and that's the difference.
You certainly hope not. And I mean, he's done everything right since he's arrived on campus. And it even goes back to last summer when he was getting in recruits like King Joseph Edwards, who, as you mentioned, Griffin, kind of a weird story with him. I remember when he committed to Syracuse and when the Orange landed him, it was a big deal. It was like, oh, this guy, another highly rated prospect, had some disciplinary issues. So, he didn't get to play much last year. In the spring, Fran Brown said positive things about him, but clearly he's choosing to go elsewhere. It does make me worry a little bit about the defensive line. There's a lot of nuances there, and I do think that's definitely going to be, there's a lot of questions throughout the team, given all the turmoil and turnover really from last season. But without Fadil Diggs, without Marlowe Wax, that defensive line is looking a little thin. There's just going to be a lot of new faces there.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of freshmen on this team.
Yeah.
A lot of freshmen. There's 14 that played in spring ball. There's another 21 that haven't stepped foot on the field yet for practice or didn't in spring ball and now going to summer and fall camp. There's 35 freshmen on this roster in the fall. Then there's a lot of transfers. There's not a whole lot of returning players that got minutes. And so, I mean, but that's the era we live in. Like, that's the era that we have to realize we are in. There's going to be new faces. You're not going to know every single name on day one. Well, we will, because we're we have that ball knowledge. But it's going to be interesting when you see, okay, week 1, again, maybe not against Tennessee, because you probably play your best guys against Tennessee. You definitely need to play your best guys.
Oh, you have to, yeah.
But week 2, when you're playing an FCS school or a low tier
UConn.
Yeah. You some of these guys, you're gonna be like, wait, who made that catch? Who made that sack? Who made that tackle? But these are the guys that are gonna be the cornerstones, hopefully, for 2 to 3 years, maybe even 4. And so just knowing those names and familiarizing yourself with the team, I think is gonna help. And it is hard in the NIL era when they could be gone midway through the season. They could be gone at the end of the season before the bowl game, if Syracuse plays in the bowl game, obviously. But this is reality. There are so many new faces, and somebody is going to step up. Like, I don't think Fran Brown, I don't think he cares that King Joseph Edwards gone. Yes, he showed a lot of potential.
Yeah.
He was a highly rated recruit, but he's gone. Fran Brown's moved on already.
Definitely. And it has to be next man up, without a doubt, in the way, as I mentioned, way college athletics is, all the turmoil, transfer portal, this and that. You can't really dwell over losing one guy. And Syracuse, Trevor Pena, you can't dwell over, he's gone now. You got a next man up in the wide receiver core. One other guy who flipped, speaking of Penn State, he flipped from Penn State to Syracuse. Crazy nickname here. And I did some digging. I don't know where this nickname came about, but this is his nickname. His name is Rosby Labintus, but he goes by Rosberry Purgatory Labintus. I don't know where that came from. That'll be fun to latch onto and to watch him as well. But Griffin, you got any nicknames I don't know about?
Not really. Not too many. I mean,
Yeah.
G Bloom, the nicknames, but Purgatory is way better than all of them. That's my favorite nickname, Purgatory, because he's just gonna throw people in the ground and not want them to come up.
Yeah.
If he's an offensive tackle 2 years, Fran Brown whips him into shape. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm looking forward to, is just hearing Purgatory.
Yeah.
This defensive lineman is in purgatory. Purgatory is slamming him into the ground. I'm happy. Like, we're getting a recruit from Fran Brown or from Penn State. Fran Brown's like, hey, you can have Trevor Payton. You can have him. I'm just flipping this guy. Hey, Penn State, I want this guy, and you got him.
Yeah, he did. Another big news that I think is big news, I don't know if other people will, is ACC Media Day is it's July 23rd. So coming up on that's when everyone goes down to Charlotte, North Carolina, all the teams, big conference. We hear from Fran Brown and whatnot. The players that were announced from Syracuse, or who's going to be joining them. Obviously, Fran Brown's going. Deuce Chestnut makes sense. Derek McDonald makes sense. Deion Watson Jr. makes sense. All guys that are, gonna seniors or guys are gonna be big names for this team. And the other one, Rickie Collins, he goes. And in my opinion, you don't bring the backup quarterback to media week. You bring the starting quarterback to media week. Steve Angeli is not on this roster to go to media week. And I know it's just media week and it really means nothing for football wise. He's not throwing a football down there at media week, but last season, Carlos Del Rio Wilson was not at media week. Like Griffin, I think this is a big deal that it's Rickie Collins. I may be making too big of a deal, but Rickie Collins is there and not Steve Angeli. For me, it shows it's Rickie Collins' job to lose. And I know they haven't even put pads on. They haven't thrown a single football yet, but I think this is somewhat of importance to show, like, all right, Collins clearly has the edge, because it's not like you're bringing the backup quarterback to media week. That wouldn't make any sense.
It wouldn't make any sense, except if you're Fran Brown. Let's think about it. Most of the other quarterbacks in the ACC, Kevin Jennings, Carson Beck, Cade Klubnik, Miller Moss, Tommy Castellanos, like, they're going to media week. Yes, they are. And they're starting quarterbacks.
Yes.
But Fran Brown isn't like every other coach. I think it's way too early to overreact at this stuff. Yes, you sent 3 defensive leaders.
Yes.
Deion Watson Jr., Deuce Chestnut, Derek McDonald. 3 leaders on defense. And then offense, you're going to send a quarterback, because Syracuse doesn't really have an X factor on offense that's established in the Syracuse community. So you're going to send a quarterback. Now, Rickie Collins transferred earlier to Syracuse than Steve Angeli. He's had more reps. He's talked more with Fran Brown and Jeff Nixon and the offensive coaching staff. Maybe they just want to talk to Steve Angeli a little more. Keep him on campus. I don't know. I think it's way too early to overreact. There's still going to be a battle in fall camp. The ACC Media Day doesn't really matter that much.
It doesn't. It doesn't. You make a fair point. I just think it's interesting. I think for me, it just kind of puts the edge to maybe Rickie Collins that, and Fran Brown said in spring practice, the spring game, like, Rickie's our guy. So I think it really is going to be his job to lose come the fall or come August.
That's where I disagree. I don't think it's his job to lose. Fran Brown said all that stuff before Steve Angeli transferred.
True.
Now, Notre Dame was going to have a quarterback battle with 2 guys, and Steve Angeli was the 3rd. So that's why he left.
Yeah.
Now, you have 2 of these guys fighting for a starting spot. And I really don't think this makes a difference. I still think there's going to be a battle during fall camp. I think whoever wins it is going to be your starting quarterback day 1. And when the phone rings on the double overtime, because one of them has a stinker against Tennessee, the other guy might play the next game. I would not want to be in this spot if you're Fran Brown. It's going to be a tough, tough battle because the second one of them has a bad game, the other one's going to get called to
Yeah.
be put in. But hey, if you find your guy and one of them pulls the upset off of Tennessee, then you're riding with him. So I think it's very high highs and very low lows for what this possibility QB battle could be. And it's going to be very, very, very fun to watch because there's a primetime game against a
Yeah.
top 15 team in the country with all the national spotlight being on Syracuse from what's going on. They got the 5-star. They're playing in the Aflac kickoff game against Tennessee in an NFL stadium. It's
Yes.
going to be fun. All eyes on Syracuse, and I'm here for it.
Yes, and that's the thing with that first game against Tennessee. In a way, I think, last season you would have fine, sure, roll Kyle McCord out there in that kind of game. This season, I think you'd much rather start the season against UConn, against Colgate, just to get whoever is that number one quarterback, get their feet a little bit wet before you have to, take on an SEC opponent in Tennessee. But that's not how the schedule worked out. So yeah, I mean, whoever gets named QB1 for that first game, the pressure's on them because, I mean, they got to perform right away because if they don't, especially if it's Rickie Collins with no experience, people are going to be screaming Angeli's name and that he should be the number one guy. But that is certainly the conversation that will be had throughout August into September, and will be had a lot more on the Ostrom Avenue podcast. We're going to bring on plenty of guests, plenty of football experts to give us some knowledge on who they think will be the starting quarterback and in which way the Orange should lean, in which way Fran Brown will have to make a vital decision in what is going to be a really big season for Syracuse and another really highly anticipated season with a much harder schedule. Of course, the Ostrom Avenue podcast will keep you up to date on everything happening with the quarterback battle, even if there's little nuggets that maybe Griffin's right that mean nothing about what quarterback's going to media week. I still think it means a little something, but I could be proven wrong. Who knows? Flipping it to Adrain Autry, one from a coach who's doing everything right to another coach who is under a lot of scrutiny after a poor season. When we spoke last time about this team, it was about the ACC schedule and who they're playing, and it was only a few non-conference games at the time. Now we got basically the entire slate. I think they maybe will add one more game, but Binghamton, Mercyhurst are in the Dome. No dates for that one, and then I'm excited for this. Syracuse is going to Philadelphia, to the Wells Fargo Center to take on it's not the Wells Fargo Center anymore. It's going to be the Xfinity Mobile Arena by that time. But either way, they're going to be in Philadelphia to play Drexel. That'll be awesome. And hopefully Syracuse can come away with a win in the city of brotherly love. And then they also have Monmouth and Hofstra in the Dome as two other little non-conference games. And then this is big. This is the Las Vegas, the Players Era Festival. But before that, and now I get why they're doing this. This is going to be a little warm-up game in Vegas on November 22nd against St. Joseph's. And then you get to this Players Era Festival, Griffin. Syracuse is playing Houston and Kansas. And then they play another team that how that tournament works is kind of a mathematical nightmare, but you get a third game of whatever place you're going to finish in. So there's going to be 4 games total in Las Vegas. Again, St. Joseph's and then Houston, Kansas in this player era festival thing, and then one other game. And then a familiar opponent, really, now for Syracuse, whatever sport it is, Tennessee. They're going to be playing them again in the ACC SEC Challenge, this time in the Dome. I know a lot of fans, me included, weren't too happy to see the Volunteers again for basketball, just because, one, I mean, they whooped Syracuse last year, and, you would have rather have seen another SEC opponent. From what I've read, Griffin, it kind of works as a TV thing. They want to get the good matchups on TV, and I think Duke is playing Florida. That's the kind of draw. But unfortunately, with the ACC, it's hard to pair a lot of good TV matchups. So for whatever reason, they thought a Tennessee Syracuse rematch would be a good idea. But hey,
For the third straight year.
maybe they're giving Syracuse some credit. They're gonna have a good season. Who knows? But that is the non-con. The team Syracuse are playing. Griffin, any thoughts? Are you concerned? It's too hard. It's too easy. I don't think you could say it's too easy, right?
Well, the 2 games that aren't going to be easy, well, the 3 games is Tennessee, obviously. You're playing for third straight year. They're going to be good. Houston, they're the runner-ups. Calvin Sampson, as much as I really don't like him as a I don't really like the way he coaches, but he's a good coach.
I like him.
So it's going to be a hard game no matter what. Houston, always good. And then Kansas, powerhouse, Bill Self.
Yep.
He's a great coach. It's going to be hard. And then there's a lot of easy games on the schedule. Now, hold on one second while I cough. It's going to be hard. There's a lot of easy games on the schedule, though, so they will make it work. The one thing I do want to mention is that the other day, might have even been, hold on, sorry, the summer allergies. I'm telling you. Did you look at the summer flesh slam they had?
Yes, I did see that. Yes. And I mean, it was a little festival, a lot of dunking going on.
Yeah, they had a lot of dunking. Jim Boeheim was there,
Yes.
Spud Webb. This team is a lot more athletic than they were last
Oh,
season.
come on. There was no
Hey,
defense.
dude, you never know. I am excited for this team. I think they have a lot of potential. Well, I am dying out here. I think they will do well. Well, we
All right, well, all right, sure. Maybe they are more athletic. Another thing I wanted to get to with the schedule is, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it, if you're still alive,
I don't know,
there's no Cornell or Colgate. Syracuse has opted not to play these two teams, and for
man.
me, it's similar to
Weird.
Georgetown. It makes total sense because one, you can barely beat Colgate. You're 2-2 in the last 4 years against Colgate. You really struggled to beat them as of late, and last year that game, I think it was a quad 4 victory. It may have been quad 3, but it was not a very good victory, and you almost lost it as well. And then the same deal with Cornell. Now, be credit, Cornell did have a really good season, and this is crazy to me, Griffin. They actually had a higher net than Syracuse. Syracuse was 133 in the net. Cornell was 120, which is kind of crazy, I think. But for Syracuse, those two games, they just weren't offering a lot, especially if they were struggling to beat them. So they've chosen not to play them. And, everyone made a fit about the Georgetown, the rivalry, but Cornell and Colgate, those two teams have played Syracuse the most in their entire history. So I have to ask you, Griffin, are you okay with Syracuse not playing these two historic teams?
No, I'm not. I think they've always played Colgate. Always. Always played Colgate. Colgate's a team they scheduled every single year, almost every single year, for a while. A very, very long time. Now, Syracuse used to beat the brakes off of Colgate every single time.
Not as of late.
The past 4 years, they are 2-2. But I think it is actually ridiculous that you are running away scared from Colgate, but are willing to schedule teams like Hofstra and Monmouth.
Because it's a better net. If you lose to those teams,
There's no
it
shot
doesn't look as
Cornell
bad.
and Colgate are worse than Hofstra and Monmouth. They're just scared because Cornell and Colgate love those matchups.
Yeah.
But Syracuse cannot be the team that is scared of anyone, especially two small basketball programs from upstate New York. No one cares about the Long Island Hofstra basketball team in Syracuse. People will care about a upstate New York foe coming
Will
to the
they?
Dome.
Will they?
Yeah,
I think
more so than Long Island, more so than Hofstra, 100%.
I don't know. I'm fine with it, especially because look, you gotta look yourself in the mirror and say we've had a hard time playing Colgate. It's only a quad 4 victory, doesn't help us whatsoever. Let's play somebody else who maybe we can beat down better. The same has to go with Cornell. Now Cornell, to be fair, it was a quad 3, and I think if they did play him next year, it would also have been a quad 3 because Cornell had such a good season last year. But it's like, we're struggling to beat these two teams. And if they were quad 2 wins, then absolutely they'd be playing them. But when it's the bottom of the quad, it just doesn't help to play these teams.
Yeah, but no. It's just like you're still scheduling bad teams. So why are you scheduling the bad teams that no one cares about and schedule the bad teams that people do care about?
Well, I guess in a way, I think if you asked Adrain Autry that question, he'd say, well, Colgate and Cornell are too good to schedule. They're too good of teams. They're not
That's
too good. They're
It's
just in the
embarrassing.
middle of the pack to where it's like, we're not going to beat them down and we're not going to, and we don't want to play a close game against them.
I think it's embarrassing that Syracuse is actually scared to play Cornell and Colgate because that's the only reasoning why.
Yeah,
You can't
maybe.
blame it on a scheduling conflict because Syracuse can schedule men's basketball whenever they want.
Yes.
That's the power Syracuse basketball has. That's it.
There is going to be no Colgate or Cornell, but we do have. I mean, I'm assuming maybe there'll be one other lesser game in the dome, maybe between November 18th and December 13th. We don't know when the Bingham
The full schedule is not out yet, so we'll find out.
and the Mercyhurst game are, but maybe one more. But for the most part, we have a bulk of what this non-conference schedule looks like. Another big thing I want to get to for men's basketball, and I think this is different to what the ACC Media Week is for football. I think this is actually a big deal. I don't know if you saw it, Griffin, but Syracuse has a new strength and conditioning coach, Robert
did see it.
Harris. He spent time with John Calipari at Kentucky. He also spent time with the Arkansas football team and the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals. And he replaces their previous longtime strength and conditioning coach, who had been there since 2007. I think this is a huge deal, especially given the injury problems that this program has had, especially of late. All you got to do is look back to last year. I mean, if J.J. Starling and Donnie Freeman, I'm not saying those injuries were because they were out of shape or anything, but if they didn't go down with those injuries, Syracuse, I'm not saying they would have made the tournament, but who knows? They would have had maybe a better season if they had those two guys for the entire campaign. I think this is a big deal. You're getting somebody new in that gym to hopefully help with the fitness of this team that, without a doubt, has struggled as of late.
Yeah, for sure. I like where this program going. I mean, he worked with Kentucky, a lot of NBA players from Kentucky. Um, we'll see. People have also said practices this year have been different.
I mean, there was that one, the dog bone. They're really pushing that. If you've seen on their social media.
I'm with it. I'm excited for Syracuse basketball as I always am. I always set expectations high because they should be high. Um, if that's the last thing you want to talk about on the men's side, we actually had some breaking news live on the Ostrom Pod.
Right
While
now?
we are recording this, the women's basketball team has finalized their roster with one final addition. I'm probably going to butcher this, so I am very sorry. But Izoje Uche, 6'3" freshman who played the past couple years in Japan. She's originally from Nigeria, will be joining Syracuse as a center, freshman center.
There we go. Team needed some size. They lost a lot of size from last year, so that'll definitely be a good addition for Felicia Leggett-Jack's squad.
And Coach Jack in their post where she quit, Coach Jack said she might even dunk.
There we go. That'll be exciting.
Very fun in the dome. See some dunks from the women's basketball team. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, basketball a little bit away, but
Yes.
always love some updates on those programs.
Yes, and the women's schedule still getting shaped out, and we'll bring you that when it's finalized. There's one other note for this doesn't have anything to do with the current men's team, but I have to mention it because he's balling out for my team. I don't know how much of the summer league, the NBA summer league you're watching, but Judah Mintz is absolutely balling out. I'm not entirely sure what his stats looked like last night, but before that, against the Grizzlies, 26 points, 9 of 15 shooting. Against the Thunder, 21 points, 7 of 12 shooting. That was unheard of when he was at Syracuse. I mean, usually it'd be, 9 of 30 shooting. So he's playing really well. And I looked last year because the Sixers were terrible last season. He never did play. He never actually got on an NBA contract. He was just with the G League team the entire time. So the Sixers do have a lot of guards right now, so I don't know if he makes it onto the Sixers roster, but who knows? Maybe next season we'll see Judah Mintz in the NBA because he clearly can play. And it also brings up an interesting conversation and an interesting debate. There is no notable Syracuse player in the NBA right now. Jeremy Grant is not. No, I mean, I forget he's in the NBA. Maybe he plays with the Blazers.
$40 million a year.
I don't know. I don't think so. And then
Jesse Edwards.
No. Jeremy, he's not a star. He's not a good player. No one talks about Jeremy Grant. No disrespect to him, but he just isn't. And Jesse Edwards played 3 games last year. But it has been a long time since you've watched an NBA game and been like, oh yeah, he went to Syracuse. Because they aren't there anymore.
Jeremy Grant.
No.
He's averaging 15 points and making $40 million a year.
How many All-Star? How many All-NBAs?
He's not a superstar.
Yeah, that's my point.
All right. Well, the last superstar was Carmelo Anthony.
I know. I just think it's been too long. People are.
I
The
agree.
brand of
And
Syracuse is losing its stigma in the NBA because there's nobody there.
I agree. And Carmelo Anthony is at the point where he's making the lifetime NBA 2K cover.
Yeah. They didn't put him in the Syracuse jersey.
Nah, they put him in the Knicks jersey. But you see that report? EA college basketball coming back.
Yeah, that'll be good.
I think it was not this year or next year, maybe the year after.
I think
The
it's a
EA
little
college basketball joining EA football. Everyone loves EA football. Imagine EA March Madness. Ooh, that would go hard. I would be playing that. Syracuse run a little dynasty. Kai and Anthony come back till the senior year, hopefully. That'll be fun. And I'm excited to see if that goes anywhere in the future. But I think by that point we will probably be past the Ostrom Avene Podcast. Yes, unfortunately. But hey, if Carmelo's like in the media a lot.
He
And
is.
he's helping Syracuse. He wants to see Syracuse do well.
He does. Any other notes basketball wise before we wrap things up?
I think that's it right now. Do you have your lacrosse bit to do or?
Of course. We could have not.
Okay.
There's been a few recruits men's wise, but nothing big. But we couldn't not mention this for women's lacrosse. Angela Beardsley, Rick Beardsley's daughter, is going to Syracuse from Stony Brook. She's joining Syracuse. Last year for Stony Brook, she played in 18 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. Super happy for Rick, and I'm sure he's so excited about this. Of course, Rick Beardsley, one of our favorite guests here on the Ostrom Avenue podcast. I cannot wait to hear him yelling in the dome and shouting all kinds of things when Syracuse is playing, because I'm sure that is what he will be doing. I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah. Uncle Rick, he is going to be even more involved in Syracuse lacrosse, which I think is a good thing.
Yes, definitely.
Can't wait to have him on and talk about Syracuse lacrosse and his daughter's team, but that's got in a lot. I think a lot better with the addition of their new coach and some other additions in the transfer portal as well.
Yes, Peyton Rothfuss, she flipped from Florida to Syracuse, which makes sense. The Florida connection now. Cousins of Emily Harrischuk, who was really successful.
Really? That's a funny.
Yeah, and then other big notable note, Olivia Adamson, who was, Syracuse is one of their star players last season under Kayla Trainer and only played, I think, 2 games and then got injured. Kind of had a weird exit from the Orange. She's going to Northwestern for her final year of eligibility, which is not surprising. You figured a BC or Northwestern would scoop up Adamson. So
one last thought I have.
Yes, go ahead.
On the men's team. Well, not really the men's team, but a lot of PLL action this summer with our WAR alum Drew Carter on the call. But Michael Grace, it seems like he's been doing really well. I've seen a lot of clips on the timeline of him playing well, so just want to give Michael Grace a quick shout out before you wrap things up.
Yes, totally. We're looking down the line here with lacrosse and basketball, but football is definitely the primary focus. We're going to start getting some guests back on. Next episode, maybe not until August. Could be later in July. Could be next week, depending on what guests we can get here or there. But either way, stay tuned for the Ostrom Avene podcast. Listening back to last month's episode, we talked about the non-conference schedule for basketball. We also, I think we talked about the ACC documentary, spring practice documentary as well, and our thoughts on that too with Fran Brown and plenty of quarterback conversation. Rickie Collins was not in that documentary, but he is at ACC Media Week, and that's a big deal. So we'll find out, and we'll also have plenty of reaction from the Media Week as well. I'm sure we'll get all kind of quotes from players like Rickie Collins and Fran Brown as well. So stay locked on to the Ostrom Avene podcast. Keep enjoying your summer. Hopefully it's in the sun, it's warm somewhere, maybe on the beach. Maybe you're listening to us on the beach. But however you're listening to us, you can continue to listen to us on WAER.org or wherever you get your podcasts. For me and Griffin, that's all we got this week. And again, we'll be back soon, hopefully with some guests as well. So keep it locked here on the Ostrom Avene podcast.